Hi guys, and welcome back to the Hale Barnes Cricket Podcast. I'm joined today again by Dave Saddington, our former first team captain, and we are going to be going over our team of the millennium so far. So that'll be from 2000 onwards. Obviously, we have gone over our team of the 20 years post the millennium, so 1980 onwards, and that was brought to us. So check that out if you haven't seen that already. What we're going to be doing, hopefully, after we've run through our team today, is we'll do some sort of mini simulation, maybe a 2020 simulation on Cricket 19, just for a bit of fun. And I imagine that there are a lot of people out there who are missing cricket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over to Dave, who will sort of just crack on with it. So like I said, we picked our 11. This is a sort of combination between a few of us, myself, Tommy Smith, our first team skipper at the minute, Dave Saddington, who was the was the skipper for the early part of the millennium, and a few others had chipped in as well. So it's over to you, Dave.
Okay, thanks for that, Doddy. First of all, what I'm going to do, for anybody who's not part of the cricket club, I'm sure everybody within the cricket club would know that sadly we lost one of our long-standing members and did pretty much everything at the club, and I'm just going to mention him, and that's Stuart Collins, who sadly passed away in May after a short illness. Obviously, condolences to Sylvia, his wife, and Jordan and all the family who, Stuart's going to be sadly missed. Again, he did many roles. It's almost like an Arthur Johnson situation from the first podcast that we did. He did many roles on the committee, but his main role was as junior chairman. And I'm sure we'll get a chance in a future podcast to wax lyrical about what the work that he actually did, and also mention just how many juniors from Stuart's reign as cricket chairman have got into the first team. The other thing I was going to mention as well, and we'll come on to that a little bit more detail when we come on the team, is that Stuart and his family were also the first family to put up our first overseas player, Brendan Lowen, who stayed and became a firm family friend over 4 years that he performed so admirably for the club. So I've got a little beer here. I'm going to raise a bottle to Stuart. Rest in peace, you will not be forgotten, and we'll crack on that note. So I'll put my cap back on. So where we left off, at the end of the 80s to 2000, we've got obviously to year 2000, and Paul Sinclair was still firmly in control of the first team. And in 2001, sadly, I think we were starting to lose one or two players. Neil Lansborough was a big loss to us. And sadly, in 2001, the club got relegated from the County League back into the, as it was known then, the Mellow-Braggins Cheshire League, which I don't think anybody was too, it wasn't a massive sad occasion, but I think we could see that the writing was on the wall. Paul had been mithering the committee for many years about investing in an overseas player, and I think as a cricket club at the time, and we always are, we're very well run financially, and I think basically we should have done that. And it was sad to say that when Sinky left the club, that was the year 2001 that we actually got an overseas opportunity, and the opportunity came about as a little bit of our fortune that a club in Ireland contacted, I think, our chairman, possibly in Bishop, to say that an overseas player had not been able to go to Ireland for some reason, and his name was Brendan Lowen, a South African guy from Port Elizabeth, from memory. Well, not from memory, I know that. Came available, and we brought him across to the club in 2002. So, we're going to slot Brendan in, I hasten to add, as a UK resident, because he did actually hold a UK passport, or his mother was a UK passport holder, something along those lines. But were you aware of the overseas situation at the time, Doddy, or were you around as a junior?
Yeah, I think, when did I join the club? I would have joined the club when I was 11 years old, so that would have been 17 years ago. So my only real memories of Brendan was the South African bloke that helped out with junior training. Never played with him, never got to really see him play, but it was more just a case of all of a sudden there was this South African bloke that was helping out at junior training, along with Stuart and Richard Fretwell. So, for me, overseas players in club cricket have just been part and parcel of me playing. Ever since I played in the first team, the club has generally had an overseas, and the other 11, 12 clubs in the league have also got overseas. I've always felt like it was a very good way of improving the standard of cricket, and improving the people that are around you. I know obviously we've played with a few overseas over the past few years who I feel like have probably improved individuals as well as the team itself. So yeah, I mean, just on that, what we've done is we have actually sneaked in an overseas into this 11 because we figured that it would be unfair to not use an overseas, seeing that we've used overseas for the past 20 years, really. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thought to think that there's overseas blokes that come and play village cricket at Hale Barnes, but why not? It's not a bad way to spend a summer. So yeah, I'm going to leave this one with with Sado, and you can run us through 1 to 6 or 1 to 7.
What we'll do is we'll do that. Well, like we did last time, we'll start off with the batsman first, and obviously Brendan's in. I'm not going to give away where he is in the batting order, but knowing Brendan or anybody won't be happy with where he is in the batsman order because we've had to accommodate a couple of other opening batsmen. The first opening batsman, first member on the list I'm going to introduce is Ian Butler, who joined the club from Style. He came along with his mate Ian Jordan, and he only played for about 3 years, 2003 to 2006. But sadly, he then emigrated to Canada. Otherwise, hopefully, we might have had a long and more distinguished career than he actually did. His best season for us was 2003 when he scored 673 runs at 45 average. And like I say, he was a class. Hopefully he'll get to listen to this and he'll have a smile on his face. And knowing Butts, he'll have a pint in his hand as well, because my God, was he a big drinker. But as an opening batsman, he was absolute quality. Big lad, could play all the shots. His best shot to me was always like, if you bowl, I know from bowling at him when he was at Style, if you put a ball into his leg stump, he'd put you away with that classy shot through mid-wicket, straight along the ground. A quality player. And I could put him, I was captain then, I'd taken over from Sink in 2002, and I could put him in the slips early on, he'd catch everything. And as soon as I put a slow bowler on, which was most of the time was Alno, I could put him out at long on, and he'd catch everything down there as well. So we'll move on to the other opener, and that's enough about Butts for now. Could tell some other stories about his drinking, but I'm not going to. Joe Cooper is the other opening batsman, and obviously we've got Joe in as a gun all-rounder. I'll start off and just say that I first came across young Joe Cooper, who was full of himself as a junior and has not stopped since. Gave him his first team debut, I'm pretty certain, when I was captain in 2008, and then he left to go and play at Bowden, and while he was there, I think he also went to university for a few years, so I think he did miss out on playing some serious cricket. But I know in the last couple of years he's blossomed into a really, really good, not just batsman, but a high quality off-spin bowler. And in 2019 in Division 2, he was player of the season with 58 wickets at 10.7 average, but also 460 runs at 29 average. Over to you, Doddy.
Yeah, I mean, I've known Joe for years. Confidence is something that Joe doesn't really struggle with, but I think ultimately what you've got is he's got the numbers to back it up. Not only is he a top bowler, a top batsman, he's another one who catches everything in the slips. He's been at first slip for the past 3 years that I've been playing in that first team. He's obviously been there for a little bit longer, and I don't think I've ever seen him drop a catch. So yeah, he picked up loads of wickets. It's not just the wickets he picks up, he picks them up in big spells as well. I think he had maybe 2 or 3 sixfers, or maybe 2 sixfers and 1 7 for last year. And then obviously the runs at the top of the order, he's solid. I think there was 100 last year and a couple of 50s, or maybe just the 150. But what Joe is very good at is just sticking in there. First 10 overs, you're generally going to make sure that he's definitely going to make sure that he's seen off the bowling or the new ball. And just a great cricket mad. That's the other thing. I don't think.
Well, the other thing he's doing now as well is he's picking up on the coaching. He's got his qualifications, and going forward, we've got ourselves a ready-made player coach at the cricket club, so
yeah, and I mean,
make that continue.
He's doing grounds as well. So I mean, literally, he cannot play enough cricket. There is not enough cricket to go around for Joe Cooper. He just loves the game, and it's great to see because he brings that enthusiasm to us. And it's, again, like I said, it's always nice when he's scoring runs and he's taking wickets, because it makes everyone else's job a little bit easier.
Exactly. So enough about him now.
I know. Enough about
that. I'm sure he'll replay that a few times.
I'm sure he will.
We'll move on to our number 3 batsman, and what I would say about our top 4 in this team, a bit similar to the other team that we selected, if you remember, was that the top order of pretty much any one of them it's very interchangeable, and all of them could open the batting or bat top order.
Yeah.
But the player who comes in joined us in 2005, and that's Andy Wood. He joined. I was captain in that time. He just moved up from down south with his wife, who was an accountant, and he set up his own business now, I believe, and I think he's in Lim. But at the time, he'd moved to Altrincham, so obviously ideal to stroll down to the club. And I'm pretty certain in his first knock, he got 60 odd not out, or at least a 50 or something like that, and then stayed in the team, obviously, in the first team all the time he was here. His best season was 2006, when we got promoted, when he scored 511 runs at an average of 36, so that's a bit about his stats. And he actually took over the captaincy from me in 2009. I'd done it for 7 years, and I felt like that was enough. And Andy wanted to give it a go. Sadly, it didn't work out, because at the end of the season he relinquished the captaincy, and also, doubly sadly, he left to join Ashley in 2010. And I'm not so sure, probably because of his family and business-wise and all the rest of it. I don't think he's playing any cricket now, which is a sad thing. But again, you must have played with Andy, did you?
Woody gave me he picked me first team league debut, all the way in Malpass. So I can remember. Played golf in the morning, played full 18 holes in the competition at Ringway. Like I used to do that. I used to get up first tea time 7:30, and then I'd go play cricket in the afternoon. But that week, this was before it was on Facebook and stuff. So you check the website every Tuesday you check the website, and I'd look down, and Bob Hutton, who was the second team skipper at the time, I'm going down. I'm thinking, I'm not in the second team. What's going on here? And so I just looked, and all of a sudden I'm at 8 for the first, and I'm thinking, oh God, I'm playing golf in the morning, and then at Malpass. So Malpass is a good hour's drive. So I can remember, I think I got there at around about 1:30. Luckily, we were batting first, and we'd done all right, I think. And then I was due to go in at number 8, and I can remember Mike Filson saying to me, Doddy, this is your chance, 50 out there.
I remember this. And
I think you know exactly where this is going, don't you? So wander out. Filson's telling me 50 out there for you. Make a name for yourself. And I can do this. I'm a first team cricketer. Wander out, sort of take my mark, a few nerves, have a look around, and bowler runs in. Didn't see the ball. Thought it was a beamer. Kind of went to duck, and it bowled me. And so that was. And then I spent the next 3 hours chasing leather in the field, because a rather eventful but less than ideal first team debut. So that's my sort of real recollection of Woody. And then I played against him the year after for Ashley, and I think he batted throughout the innings. I think he opened the batting and took the team home, and they ended up winning. That was under Birks's captaincy. I have fond memories of Woody. Didn't play a huge amount with him, but he was the person that sort of gave me my shot in the first team.
Yeah, well, I think it is a great team. I mean, that too, maybe if we just dwell a little bit, 2006 was the year, one of our better years, or certainly my best year of the 7 years in captaincy, because we won the Cheshire Shield and we got promoted. And Andy Wood, I'm going to mention one player that we've not put in the side. Andy Wood opened the batting with a guy called Hassan Khan, who only played 8 knocks for us. 8 innings, he scored 550 runs, which was just phenomenal. And he was one of the players that a guy called Chris Murphy had brought to the club. And sadly then, he left to go and play at Lower House. He was over here for 5 years, I think, Pakistani lad from Multan. He played in lower house in the Lancashire League, batting about middle order. He might have gone up the order a bit the following year. And I used to look at this and I used to think, and I used to contact him and just say, do you not fancy coming back and opening? And he did say, think about it. But then he ended up going playing at Sale and Pro.
Yeah,
League,
I can remember he played.
Pro. And his 2 seasons, he scored 800 runs in each season and got about 40, 50 wickets. Phenomenal player.
Yeah.
Chris Murphy used to reckon he was good enough to bat for Lancashire.
Really?
He rated him that highly, yeah. Anyway, next player on the list, Mike Hunter, slotting in at number 4, who joined in 2006, and obviously has not been able to be a consistent player within the team, but one season he did score 534 average, and you know, also let's say is always taken responsibility at the club and done his bit whenever he's been over here, and obviously that's been not possible to do because his occupation being a pilot. And it's we'd have liked to have had him on this, and he did say that he was going to try and see if he could come on with the benefit of Zoom, but if he doesn't, then hello Mike, you'll have to listen to what I've said. But class batsman, and one of the few batsmen when you look at play cricket who actually averages more than 30 in the club.
No, I think he's a fierce competitor as well, Mike. So I think he was always that. I mean, he's been captain of the club as well for a period of time. So he's definitely someone who has done as much as he possibly can for the club, with him being a pilot as well. So obviously not being able to play every week, but still making the effort. Sometimes he's been flying back sort of Friday nights, Saturday mornings to play in the afternoon and stuff like that. So over the years, so definitely, yeah, Mike's definitely.
He's done. I can tell you a better one than that. We were playing against Lindo, and he was landing, and I had to take the captaincy over, and their captain was fuming that he knew Mike was one of our better batsmen, and I was just promising that I wouldn't put him in, and he ended up not batting. But there's a couple of times he did it. One time, I think against Alvin, he came late, had to bat at 5, and ended up getting 90.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, quality player.
Very much so.
Okay, so we go to our first kind of overseas but a UK resident, and that's Brendan Lowen. So we need to spend a little bit more time on Brendan because he joined us in 2002, and as I say, he was our club's first overseas player. I had a chat with him on Facebook actually, or I was talking in a group conversation with Molly perhaps, but he said that, and I remember this well, he landed literally, I wonder how many clubs this has been the same with their overseas player, landed at about Thursday night, I think it was, at Manchester Airport, and obviously we're quite close there, literally got brought to the club by Stuart Collins, changed into his gear, I think it was sleeting at the time, so we got him in the nets for a bit of a net, and then we were playing at Prestbury on a cold, wet, saturated pitch, freezing our whatsits off. And Brendan, I think we did bat first. To be fair, he goes in at number 3 and gets 90 not out. And then we obviously turn around and he's bowling, and he couldn't run into ball. He was falling over. Now I think that was more to do with the fact they hadn't got any studs in his boots. He couldn't bowl. He literally couldn't bowl, and we got him down. He looked pretty handy in the nets and quite nippy. Anyway, he couldn't bowl in that game, and I can't remember. I think they stitched it for a draw, which was quite unlike Prestbury from memory. Anyway, the sun came out the following week and played Middlewich on a bone-hard track, typical good Middlewich track. And I opened the bowling with him, with Molly, and I think he got a couple of wickets, Brendan, and Molly got the win. So I thought, he's bowling quite quickly, I'll have to change him round, and I came on at the other end into the wind. And I got a wicket early on, about the 3rd wicket, something like that. Brendan went on to get 9 wickets.
Yeah.
And I mean, you'd think after that start he'd have scored 1,500 runs and got about 120 wickets. Well, he didn't, but you know, his performances for the 4 years, I mean, I've got down here his best performance was in 2003, he got 500 runs at 31 average and 61 wickets at 13 average. And like I say, absolute quality player, quality bloke as well, which is what you need, and sometimes you don't get with overseas. You know, we've all heard of stories of overseas who you know turned into bad ones. I think Presbury had one year who wrote a car off and got arrested for drink driving and got deported home, from what I believe. And if I've got that wrong, Presbury, I'm sorry, but I'm sure it was you who told me that, or someone from Presbury. However, the other thing to say about Brendan, he was such a fan, the best fielder I've ever played with, and he won the Cheshire Cup with us, Cheshire Shield against Ducton, and we'll cover that on another blog, I think, with the best catch I've ever seen, a diving catch to get their remaining sort of top order batsman out and won us the game.
Yeah,
So,
that is.
fantastic.
I think if you speak to anyone from my generation, so that would be anyone from around about 30 to sort of 25, who's played at the club, the one thing that we've all been told is about the catch. That's the way I describe it, the catch. So yeah, I mean, he's obviously set the trend for the future for Hale Barnes, for the way that we do our commitment to having an overseas player. And yeah, I think we've been very, very lucky in the sense that I can't really think of many overseas players or any overseas players that we've had that have caused us real problems. They've all been genuinely all right blokes that have fitted in pretty well. And
well, I think what we'll do is I think we could do an overseas blog, couldn't we? Really?
Oh, definitely.
And
There's
there might
definitely
be one
going
or
to
two
be
little incidents to mention, but
I'm sure you'll probably know a few more than I do.
In the main, I mean, Brendan just never causes any problems whatsoever, and he was very, very close, you know, and that's why he qualifies as UK resident. He was very close to actually settling in the UK, and he got a job, I think, as an architect or something to do with architecture, that sort of thing, in Manchester. And when he actually played for us in the year we won the Cheshire Shield in 2006, he was playing as a UK resident, which was one of the things you could do in our league as opposed to the county league. I'm sure you had to have a rule that you'd be in the country for 2 years to qualify as UK, or not ordinarily resident in the UK, I think it was. And Brendan qualified because he'd been in the country from the from October, I think, the previous year. So so that's it. So we're moving on. So, yeah, we're going to select our wicket-keeper batsman now, and again I'm going to go another call out here that Boxty, Derek Stubbs, is very, very unlucky not to have been selected for the other side, and I'm going to say he's also equally unlucky not to get picked for this side. But we've got to go with Stanny, or as we know him as Cheshire, basically because of his batting ability as well. So Stanny, been with us from the juniors. For anybody who didn't know, he was joining Toff this year, if they ever get out there and play, which is very sad, but you know, a necessary event that's going to happen. You know, and we don't stand in anybody's way, can't stand in anybody's way. He wants to play at the highest standard. His best season for us was 2019 when he scored 400 runs at a 22 average, and his best year is 18 dismissals. But bearing in mind, he's never played a full season for us, so you could probably equate that to about 40 dismissals. And I know from him keeping to me as a bit of a medium-paced trundler, he's one of those guys as a keeper that you know when you've made a balls up with your line, or maybe you make out you did it on purpose to get someone stumped. He did do it one time. If you send the ball down the leg side, he's more than capable of taking the bails off. And he's going to be, and he is an outstanding cricketer now, and in the future, hopefully, you know, he'll go on and become even better.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I've known Ben for a long time now, played a decent amount of cricket with him, and he's easily the best wicket-keeper I've ever seen. Everything just looked easy. It's like the ball is hitting pillows rather than when most normal people do it. You can hear the thud into the gloves. He takes it so effortlessly. And he's a high-quality batsman as well. I don't think he's really shown it quite as much at Hale Barnes, but we know for school and we know for the Cheshire side, he's played age range Cheshire for a long time, playing under 17s this year, or last year, I should say. They got to the final, the county final, where they unfortunately lost to Surrey, but Stanny had 100 on the way there. I think he had a 77, or a few good knocks. And the other
I think
thing,
he's played for Cheshire ever since. If there was a Cheshire Amoeba team, I think he'd be in it, wouldn't he?
literally, I think he's played every single. I mean, he's got more Cheshire gear than anyone I know.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing as well for Stanny is also he took on a responsibility to captain the 2020 and Sunday League team, and the Cup team over the past couple of years, as well as helping out with the under-19s and also the Barnstormers. So he's very much a club man. I mean, we can't really say anything about Ben without saying out how much his mum does as well. So the whole sort of Staniforth clan do a huge amount. So he's definitely going to be missed. I'm sure we'll be seeing him around, and hopefully we can get down and see some real cricket with a Toft at some point. But yeah, no, Ben was a shoo-in, I think, really, because just the quality of his wicket keeping and also the batting as well. So yeah, he slots in at 6, which I think he would probably be a bit disappointed at in terms of how low he is. But there's a few in here that will be complaining about where they bat.
Well, that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't put, it's one of those things. But it's the same as what I said on the other blog. It's wicket keepers, isn't it? You can't have 2 wicket keepers in the side. And
exactly.
Like I say, a double shout out or a triple shout out to Boxty. I even printed. I'm going to do a shout out for Boxty. Boxty, I'm sure, still holds our wicket keeping record in 2007. 2007 against Middlewich. Boxty got 7 victims and 4 of them were stumpings. First 3 off Dave Hale's, and he finished it off with 1 off me off the last ball. But in that match, Chris Broomfield, who was the keeper, who was also bloody good, with Middlewich, got 5 victims as well.
That's a day for keepers.
Got 3 stumpings, so there's 7 stumpings in the match. And when I was thinking about wicket keeping, not that I really do, obviously, I've never done it in my life, but I wouldn't want to try. But I thought that I'd do a double shout out. Anyway, moving on, we're into the all-rounders slots now. So number 7, we've got a big friend of yours. Well, a big friend. Well, just a big,
just a big
everything, isn't he? Really, Ben?
Although ironically, he's not the biggest person in this team. There is someone we actually found someone who is even bigger.
Yeah, exactly, and it was thanks to Ben Hicks as well. So that's
exactly, yeah.
But Ben Hicks, where do we start? Juniors to 2018. We'll not say anything else other than that, but hopefully you never know what might happen.
Exactly.
But his standout season, and I was fortunate still to be playing and opening the bowling with him in 2017 when we got promoted. He was just unstoppable that year. 61 wickets at 11.9 average and 268 runs. And we all know, and Ben knows this, and he'll be listening to this nodding his head because he knows what I'm going to say. He should be scoring 500 runs, no danger, every season. He's that good as a batsman as well. And as we all know, he's just got to stop. When he hits the 6 for 4, he's got to think to himself, right, they've got the field back. Where I'm going to play this ball next, right? I'm just going to take a single or knock it into a gap for a 2. And I think that's just one of the lessons I wish he, hopefully one day he'll learn. But as a left-arm opening bowler, and I've had a sort of a position to watch it down at fine leg, is that the good thing about him, he's nippy. He's not absolutely rapid, but he's quick enough. He moves the ball, and his best ball, without a shadow of a doubt, because he swings it into a right-handed batsman. Is pitching that ball up at the pace he does. And when he got his 9 wickets against Barnton, again, a bit like Brendan, I got the other one, but it was early on that day, so I didn't feel like I took it away from him. But he was just unstoppable that day against Barnton, And that's the sort of player that Ben is. He's always had the talent, he's got the strength, there's no doubting about that. And over to you.
Yeah, I've known Ben for as long as I've been playing cricket. I've known Ben since I was 11 years old. So I played a lot of cricket with Ben. And I think one of the things to really mention about Ben is he actually probably hasn't played as much first team cricket as he should have because he works Saturdays. So from the ages of around about 16 through to 21, 22, he didn't play first. He played third team cricket because that was the only cricket he could play. So I think in terms of looking at stats, Ben's stats should be better than they are, especially in batting. But yeah, I think with Ben is that it's not just the bowling. It's the he's big. He's 6'5", big bloke, and he comes running in, beard and hair, and not quite as much beard and hair as I've got, but he comes running in, and it's the intimidation as well. And like I said, when he gets on a roll, he bowls spells, and I think back to the 2018 Cheshire Shield run in the semi-final against Northwich. He came out and he set the tone, and then again in the final he came out and set the tone with that new ball and was super aggressive, but in a way that just got everyone else in and around him, and just a top cricketer again. Maybe his fielding could do with some work.
Well, his fielding's only going to go one way now. I don't think
it is. I think
the best will and intention. I think he's got as many years. Let's not forget he can actually bowl slow as well. So as and when it comes to the time, which he will do with all fast bowlers or all bowlers, they can't continue to chuck it down at any decent pace. He's got that. You've just reminded me of something as well. But when he was in the third team, he was starting to get into the first team, and I was captain. His mum sent me an email to say that apparently when he was working on a Saturday, I'd gone and told Ben that he was playing in the first team and he couldn't work on a Saturday anymore.
Trying to tell his mum, I've got to quit my job, mum, so I can go and play cricket.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, blame it on you. Oh, I'm sure he'll have something to say about that.
I think I had to support Ben, but I had a wry smile on my face. But I mean, his heart's in the right place, isn't he? And his heart's with Hale Barnes, and
it is.
Hopefully, things will work out for all
exactly.
of us. And we're always hopeful about that. Right, okay. Next all-rounder, we're going to put him in as the next couple are still all-rounders really. Last two we'll have to have a think about. Is Alex Robinson, who was only with us for 3 to 4 years, 2009 to 2012. I think I was captain as well. I was having a discussion with Mike about this, but I'm pretty certain I was captain in 2010 when he was Player of the Year. And his figures that year, and that's why he's got into the team, being honest, on not just obviously purely down to that year, but he got 39 wickets at 14.7 and 277 runs. And what I did is I bat him at 6. Some of the other captains used to put him up the order. In fact, Alex used to put himself up the order because he was always saying he should be opening the batting. But he bowled superbly that year. And what I found I used to do to him was just bowl his bog standard off spin, because he turned it a mile. And where he used to, again, if he listens to this, he's a coach. The one thing I always used to say to him was just concentrate on doing that. What he used to get with Alex, would he turn up and he'd say, I've got this Doosra Sado, and I've got this new ball, whatever it's called, or I'm trying to do a bit of a Shane Warne. And you knew when he bowled it. I'll tell you when he bowled a shit half tracker and the ball disappeared into the field. That's when he bowled it. And but when he concentrated and concentrate particularly on his bowling, but also on his batting, he could bat very, very correctly, and that was his best season. So he's got into the team on that basis as a second spinner to Coops.
Yeah, I think my dealings with Robbo were sort of playing a little bit in the first team and also playing with him on a Sunday in the Barnstormers for the friendly team. And the one thing that I definitely, especially facing him in the nets, was the flight and also the dip. So he was a very correct off-spin bowler.
Yeah.
He got the ball to drift and he got the ball to sort of drop on you, which is something that you don't always see with bowlers, especially maybe at our level. That you tend to get good off-spin bowlers, but in terms of actually getting the ball up and down, I felt that Robbo was probably better than anyone I've ever faced for that. And yeah, I just think his batting he's a bit like Ben. He was a better batsman than his stats make him out to be. He should have scored plenty of runs because he was a good batsman. He had a very good eye, but he'd get himself out. I think that's the thing. He would get himself out. He would see that, I'll hit that. Someone would loop one up and he'll hit that and he'll sky it and he'll walk off and he'll be frustrated at himself. But again, I think another very, very good cricketer whose stats maybe don't quite show how good he actually was.
Yeah, and I believe he's a very good DJ as well.
by all accounts, yes, he's big into his DJ, and he was always trying to get us to go down to see his DJ sets down at Wigan Pier and Maxim's in Bolton. But us posh boys at Hale Barnes wouldn't fit in there, so we gave it a miss.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll move on from that. Next all-rounder, and he is an all-rounder, although again, maybe the batting's, the bowling's better than the batting, I would say, but it could be easily the other way around. So that's praise for Joe, and that's Joe Fretwell Walsh. Another one, junior cricket, is currently in Australia for a couple of years, but word has it that he'll be coming back next year, and he'll be more than welcome. He got his first team ton in 2013, and his best bowling figures were 27 wickets in 2018, and a shoo-in really for the first team, and he's made his way into this side. Again, you played in it, so you can wax lyrical about it. He pretty much won us the Cheshire Shield, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, no thanks to me, as we found out in the last episode. But yeah,
that was a crap shot, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm well aware of it. People keep reminding me. But yeah, I mean, a man for pressure. That's how I describe Joe. He's very, very correct. His textbook, I think, is probably the only way I can describe his technique. He is very much textbook. Everything is correct, full face of the bat, and he reads the situation. Bright guy, really bright,
yeah,
and reads the situation perfectly. He's got one of the best cricketing minds that I've ever sort of encountered. Him and Stanley would probably be up there. But they just think about the game slightly differently, and they're always a little bit ahead. And again, played for every team. There isn't a team that he couldn't have played for. Sorry, that he could have played for that he didn't. He's played under 9s, under 11s, under 13s, under 15s. There unfortunately wasn't there wasn't anything after that, but he'll have played for Barnstable for the thirds, the seconds, and the firsts.
Yeah. I think, and I have said this to him, because we've had a few switches and changes, haven't we, in first team captain, to be fair, for various different reasons. But I think Joe's definitely got a first team captaincy in it. And just on the captaincy side of things, one thing I'd say, because I did it for 7+1 years, I think it is one of those things. And if Tommy was here now, Tommy Smith, he's on his 3rd year this year. I think it is the sort of role that you've got to go into it for wanting to do it for 3 to 5 years.
Yes.
And I think for whatever reason, Joe's just not quite wanted to do it. I just wonder whether part of that is due to the fact that he's seen so many captaincies sort of, be packed in maybe after one season, or, we've got to, because I'll tell you, for all the captains out there, they'll be nodding for this. Anybody who thinks that captain of the side is just the nice bit, going out and making the decisions on the field, it's not. It's all through the week. It's waiting for the phone to go, or nowadays it'd probably be done by text or even Facebook or whatever. There's somebody dropping out on a Friday night, and it does wear you down. But we'll probably maybe cover that another day.
Yes. Oh yeah.
We'll move on to our bottom. Now, the next player will be fuming that I'm not going to call him any higher than a number 10 bat, but he did get his chances when he was at the club. And that's Dunners, James Dunley, who joined from Stockport and went back to Stockport. We had 4 years with us. His best year was 2009, 31 wickets at 17.1 and 160 runs. I'm sure there were some reasonable contributions there, but perhaps not so many, unfortunately, James. But I opened the bowling with him. Woody was captain of him as well. But when I did, I used to open the bowling with him, obviously up the hill with Molly coming down. And the one thing he did, Dunners, he didn't half move the ball. And I just used to admire him all the time about just pitching the ball a little bit more, because he beat the bat, but wouldn't get the returns that perhaps he should have been doing. And because he, a bit like Hicksy, Hicksy pitched the ball up. He wasn't. I think Dunners wasn't as quick as Hicksy, but he was pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Sharp. Sad. Yeah, it's sad when he went. It's sad for me because I used to go and pick him up. That he went back to Stockport, and now, to my knowledge, he doesn't even play. I know he's got a family and what have you, but he doesn't play any cricket at all, which is quite sad.
Yeah, I think there's a few on this list that probably don't. Well, there's definitely 2 or 3 on this list that don't play anymore, which is a shame. I played a little bit with Dunners when I first got into the team. Kept to him a little bit as well. On a Sunday when you couldn't get a keeper in, I'd be on there trying to get there, and yeah, move the ball a lot, and yeah, was quick, but not express, but quick enough to be able to cause a few problems. But yeah, another very, very good left arm bowler.
He was a Cheshire player as well at under 17, and again, another shout out for Chris Murphy. It was Chris Murphy who was coaching him in the Cheshire setup, or I think he was actually, Chris was coaching that side, and he was the one who actually got into him, and then I obviously, like any captain would do, followed it up with a nice chat over the phone. So there we go. We've got one more player to put in. It's going to be our overseas, and we could have picked from a number here, you know, so not wanting to leave anybody out. I'm not going to mention all of the names, but there were one or two others that we could have put into the side. But on reflection, and probably listening to Mike Hunter in particular, and it was Ben Hicks who brought him over, and it's Andrew Davidson who played for us for 2 years, 2012 and 2013. He got 60 wickets, pretty much exactly on that each year, so 120 wickets at 14 average, and he always used to go about 2.6, 2.7 runs and over. Big lad, bowled a heavy ball. Probably bowled quicker in his first year and then slowed down the second year when he realised that he didn't have to work so hard. And he was a greedy bugger because he'd bowl all the way through if he could. And he could do it as well. Very, very fit lad for the size of him, basically.
Yeah, someone who I probably didn't have any real dealings with. It was probably at the time when I was at university, so was in and out and was not really able to train as much. So and played a lot in the second team, so we'd rock up for the twos. But yeah, from what I saw of Davo, it was. I mean, his shoulders were out here somewhere, and it was all sort of trundled in, not particularly expressed, but wow, when the ball came out, you could hear it hit the bat, you could hear it hard, you could hear it hit the back of the net.
He could have bowled, I think, a yard quicker, to be honest. But I think, like most overseas players who play, obviously he's come from Australia and you're bowling on hard tracks where you know it's going to fly through. You realise that perhaps a little bit more control. And I've played in quite a few games with him. I can remember him playing at Ashton-on-Mersey. I think he got 2 hat-tricks. He might have got one that day, or he certainly got 2 in 2. And he got their 2 gun players out, an Indian lad who'd scored 1,000 runs the year before, and a slightly green track. He was just unplayable, like these really quick off cutters, leg cutters, sorry. And as I say, he got a hat-trick in one game. Might have been run caught. And I tell you what, he could actually hold the bat and bat it quite straight, but one of the biggest sixes I've ever seen. At Ashton-on-Mersey, anybody should know Ashton-on-Mersey's ground, he was batting towards the Mersey. Off the back foot off a slow bowler, he cleared the bloody Mersey on the straight boundary, and it's the long boundary there. We were walking round. I was walking round. I couldn't believe it. I mean, they got no chance. It must have gone straight into the Mersey. It was going enough. It was still going up as it went over the boundary, and that's a huge hit. So that's the team.
Yeah. So I'll run you through the team quickly in case some of you have missed it. But yeah, opening the batting, we had Ian Butler and Joe Cooper. Andy Wood was at 3. Mike Hunter was at 4. He will also be the captain of the team. We had Brendan Lowen, who was the first of the all-rounders, at 5. Ben Staniforth was our wicketkeeper batsman at 6. Ben Hicks, Alex Robinson, Joe Fretwell-Walsh, they were 7, 8 and 9, filling our all-rounder slots. And then we had James Dunley at 10 and our overseas Andrew Davidson at 11. So I feel pretty confident about that side. Maybe not as many runs, but I think also one of the things that we should probably point out is that you probably have got in this team.
I'd say that. I mean, again, you know, you can sit here and go and say, and people will, you know, they have done from the other team. We've had, you know, people passing in the street making comments about Chris Murphy being one of them. You know, why was he not put in? The simple answer is you can't fit everybody in, can you? Really?
Exactly.
And, you know, I'd like to think, and Molly, I'm sure, would say the same thing, because Molly was still. I mean, in 2006, I know this because when I was looking at the stats, it flagged up Dave Alves, who needs an honourable mention, because in 2006, Molly finished first in the bowling averages. I finished second. This is league averages, not ours. And Almo finished third. And Brendan, who was in the side, finished seventh. But Molly was still, right out there. And the only difference I would say, and I think he'd agree with me, is that I was 42 in 2000. Molly's 3 years older than me. It's like what I said about the fielding. We're in the side, we can bowl still good enough to play, we can hold the bats if necessary, if required. I'd already started to drop myself down the order when I became captain. And Molly, had to bat lower than me, but he could still hit the ball. But it's your fielding, it's the fielding that goes. And you're just conscious. And I've been like that for, last 10 years, and I've played to age 60 in the first team. You just, even though you think yourself, when you're playing, say, over 50s and over 60s like I do for Cheshire, all of a sudden your arm comes back and you can run about a bit and all the rest of it. But you're so conscious of playing on a Saturday, even in the second team, that you're just there and you think, Jesus Christ, I'm willing to run for that ball, but I just can't bloody do it. And that's the reason why I think it's fair to have put both me and Molly in the other side. I wouldn't want to contemplate who would drop. I've obviously got my own opinion, but I'm not going to say it. But that's it. I mean, that is a damn good side.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, representing the other side, that the stats in our other team, not this side to bits.
Yeah,
however, you cannot rule out the fact that this is a very good side, and it would be, I think, a very, very close game between us. And looking at that side, and you've got batsmen coming in like Ixie at 7 and Robbo and Fretters and what have you down the order. Anybody for the first 9 could get a ton, or get a good 50, and to be honest with you, we're stacked with bowling the other one, but bloody hell, who would you open the bowling with in that side? Davo is one nailed on, but you've got Brendan who could bowl about as quick as Davo. You've got Hixie obviously as quick as probably Brendan, maybe a notch below Davo, and you've got Dunners.
Yeah.
You've got 4 new ball bowlers there, haven't you? And Fretters and 2 spinners. So
no doubt Joe Cooper would be saying he could open the bowling as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think if you want to run through a few of the honourable mentions quickly, and then we can sort of wrap things up.
Just to summarise again, Derek Stubbs very unlucky not to have got in. Just fantastic, while I was captain, but before that, really, just one of those dream guys who turned up, played every game, drove us, Molly in particular, and I shared lifts with him as well. Just never let you down. And if you wanted somebody to bat down the order, and rotate what have you with somebody who was it was as good as anybody. Good batsman. Dave Alves, again, had one outstanding season, and again, fully committed Hale Barnes member. Had come up through the ranks, second team captain, I think, when we won our first trophy, if I'm not wrong, in 1993, sorry. Losing out 10 years of my life there. Tamor Malik's another one who played for a couple of years for us, a leg spin bowler who could bat. Mike Filson deserves a mention, but probably didn't play enough through us because of rugby and football commitments. Mike Burks is another one who was a good, full-hearted opening bowler who did well for us. And last but not least, Sujoy Jaiswal, who is as classy a bat as you're ever going to see. I mean, if you saw him batting and scoring runs, you'd say, who's that overseas player or whatever, wouldn't you? And a few people used to say that about him. But there's more, I'm sure. Somebody could tap me on the shoulder and say, why wasn't I mentioned? Really sorry, we can't do everybody, but, it's set up now, mate. I'm going to step aside and let other people come on and, bore everybody silly in the YouTube videos, and you carry on doing it looking silly with your hat on and your big bushy beard.
I will.
But I think it's time for other people to come through and talk through. I'll come on as a guest, obviously, but that's it. Those are the 2 teams. I was proud to be a captain. For truth be known, I might have squeezed 1 or 2 more years out. But did we ask about how many captains there were in the 20 years, 80s to 90s, in comparison to the 20 years after? Do you remember? I don't think we said that.
No. So in the 1980s,
80s and 90s, so that 20-year period.
So you had the Eardley brothers.
Yeah.
Sinky.
That's 2. Sinky.
You
won't know him. A. Edwards in 1990. So that's 4.
4. So, yeah. I mean, we've had 4 in as many years.
Yeah.
Near enough here. So 8 in the past 20 years?
Not a bad shout, that. Spot on, yeah. We've had 8 captains. We've had me, Andy Wood, Mike Burks, Mike Hunter, Shez Fernando, who was our overseas player as well. And again, you know, shout out for Shez because, you know, arguably he could have been slotted in instead of Davo, but you know, we went for a fast opening bowler rather than the all-rounder, classy all-rounder that he was. Dobby, Christian Dobson, Ben Hicks, and now Tommy Smith. So 8 captains. And there's all different reasons, isn't there? And again, we're not well on that, but just goes to show, I don't know whether it's modern day stuff or whatever, it's a hard job. And all I would say to any cricketers out there, you know, there's everybody, you've got, when you're captain of the side, you've got potentially 10 players all think they can do a better job than you. And what I was always saying when I was a captain, you don't want 10 people coming up to you at the end of every over. But it's one of those things, if you think you can do it better, stick your hand up, become a vice captain. All I would say to anybody wanting to be a captain, though, to be honest, is maybe cement your place in the first team for a good number of years and don't try and do it too early in your age. And that's a bit of an ageist thing, and I don't mean it to be. All I'm saying is that, you know, you've got a playing career, haven't you, in the first team. If you're good enough to get in at, say, 15, 16, you could be playing in that first team for 20, 30, possibly 40 years if you play as long as I have. You've got plenty of time to be a captain. And I haven't met anybody who's been captain for 20, 30 years. It drives you mad. So that's my, I want to finish on that really, just get that across, is that shout out for all the cricket captains out there and what a fantastic job they do with the vice captains as well. And I don't just mean first team captain. I've said it many times. Sometimes you're worse. It's a harder job doing second team captain because you get all your players pinched, don't you?
I'm sure we'll talk to Tom Entwistle about that at some point on the podcast, because I'm sure he's got a few words and a few thoughts on that, having been second team captain for the past 6 or 7 years. I think he's now been doing it. So, but yeah, I think on that note, thanks for tuning in. And like I said, we're going to try. Well, what I'm going to try and do is to do a simulation on Cricket 19 with these teams, going off the stats and trying to really put some stats into the game that will maybe reflect a relatively even team or relatively even sides even, and then run a simulation. So look out for that. And thanks for joining in. And yeah, like I said, if you want to see more, we'll be doing a few more over the next few months. So give us a like and a follow and all that nonsense. Cheers, guys.
Bye.